We all have content creators that we follow for a variety of reasons. Could be their vibe, the way they talk, the value they provide, raw sex appeal. Well, one of my personal favorites captures all of those things. He's chill, he's a legend, and he's literally one of the most well-respected musicians of all time. 501 Chorus Echo, aka Uncle Larry, aka Mr. Tom Bukovac. One dude, one iPhone, one beer, and a $7 million guitar is all that is required to experience the realest and chillest channel for music and guitar nerds. So who is Tom Bukovac? Well, simply put, he is Nashville session musician royalty. He's a guy that gets paid to show up, listen to what you got, and then will wind up being instrumental, pun very intended, in helping you come up with parts for your music. And more often than not, the parts that he creates are the things that wind up making the song. Imagine you write a song and you get a record deal, you go through the whole thing, and then the record comes out and your friends are like, oh, I love your songs, dude. There's this one song, this one part, how'd you write that? And then you're just like, that was a guy named Tom who goes by Larry. And he dropped 7 Yinglings before banging that out. He's played arenas with legends, he's been on countless records, and his guitar and amp collection, genuinely insane. What he will pull out just while drinking a cup of coffee, you're like, alright, that's cool, that's my life savings, times 5. So naturally, he does what any legend would do. He charges an exorbitant amount of money to share just a little bit of insight with his very high-paying clients, right? Wrong, babes. He uploads 30-minute-long unedited bombshells worth of information, music theory, and just stories from his hyper-unique life experience. And to me, one of the greatest parts of every episode he does, which is almost daily, is how it starts. Homie just hits record, right? Sits down with some vintage guitar, and off the top of his head, just plays you the most beautiful fucking melody you've ever heard in your entire life. If you gave me a 1-4-5 chord progression over just a 4-4 beat, right? I would mess that up 78% of the time. So to see this guy every day just sit down, slam a Rolling Rock, call himself Uncle Larry, and play the most inspiring, beautiful stuff right there off the top of his head, it is equal parts inspiring and absolutely crippling. But from there, he kind of takes you on a journey, talks about his day, usually starts off with him losing money on the football game the night before. We've all been there, my guy. I love the NFL, but at the same time, fuck the NFL. But from there, it'll work its way back into music, and he'll get into a little bit of theory, talk about melodies, how chords work together with each other, things you can really use and adapt to your own playing. And it's incredibly easy to just get lost in his stories, right? The stories he tells are amazing because he's done nothing but work with the biggest musicians ever for the last 30 years straight. It honestly kind of feels like chilling with a friend sometimes. But if you got a guitar in your lap while you're watching it, really try to pick up some of the things he's putting down there. And you might find yourself in a similar boat to me where the way that I view my instrument starts to change a little bit. Because he's not approaching this like everybody else where it's here's a bunch of licks, now go buy my course. Instead, he approaches everything from a place of, I gotta write parts for songwriters, man. This is radio stuff, and it's gotta be hooky and catchy and melodic, and it's gotta be beautiful. Something that's lost on most of us bedroom guitar players. And that's honestly what I feel is the single most valuable thing you can learn from watching his channel. Aside from Yingling being incredible, Hellcats being fast, and vintage gear being treated like stocks, it's when he gets into the why behind how he's able to do what he does. I mean, think about this as a normal human. How the hell can you just walk into a session, right? You have no idea of the genre that's going to be played. You have no idea what it is that you got called for. You hear everything, you sit down, and in the first take, not only can you do it, but it's almost expected that you're just going to give them the thing right then and there that makes the record. Even if you're able to think of that off the top of your head, you're like, oh, I know exactly what goes there. Now to physically play it perfectly enough for them to use it on an album, those two together, you're talking a handful of humans on the planet, dude. Well, in its simplest form, what I can gather, if you dumb it down, he speaks music like a language. He doesn't know everything, just like we don't know every word in the English language, but what he does have is a to his soul fundamental understanding of how music works. The knowledge of melody and rhythm and space and how music should feel in general is so ingrained in what he does. I don't even know that it's necessarily about playing the right note or the right chord. I think it's about playing the right note or the right chord in the right way and in the right spot. And what I mean by that is this. It all comes down to vibe, right? At the end of the day, the whole thing comes down to how does this feel in general? So he's going to talk to the artist, listen to what they want, he's going to listen to the other instruments, get a real pulse on the overall vibe of the project. And at that point, the fluency of music as a language kicks in. For instance, suppose the chord was A, right? He's not just gonna play like an A at the first fret. Maybe he will if the project calls for it, but it's about listening and going, okay, what is the right version or inversion of an A on the right string set with the correct accents added in there? What is the perfect A for this? And that subject is something only a handful of players talk about on YouTube, because I think only a handful of players really understand how to do that immediately. And he's one of them. He talks about this stuff for free all the time. It is bananas that we just get like this information and these insights for free, and we have access to it whenever we want. Like, what a time to be alive. And as someone like myself who kind of struggles with music theory, it is incredible to know that there are people out there that develop a relationship with their instrument so deeply, and not just their instrument, but music in general. And they can use their fundamental understanding to get into what you're doing, whatever your vibe is, and they can either match that and accent it, or in some cases change the vibe entirely, but the song winds up being better for it. And it's not a guess. These people know it's gonna work. Real talk, the way Tom does his content is kind of perfect. And yeah, he may not have bright lights or a mushroom lamp or a torn up pink Strat in the background, but what he does have is a lifetime of stories and information that he's open to and happy to share with the world. Tom Bukovac should be watched by everybody, so if you haven't heard of his channel, 501 Chorus Echo, please go check it out. You're never more than one click away from being an honorary homeschooler. I give you a money-back guarantee. I promise you'll love it. My name is Zach. This has been Audibly Dumb. Thank you so much for watching. Come back next week where I go to Hogwarts and pay Paris Hilton to wash my '96 Corolla.